Okay, Wicked Talk, let's talk about Glinda, because some of y'all are trying to defend Glinda in ways that I think you're actually telling on yourselves. So here's my hot take, and massive, massive Wicked spoilers ahead. But Glinda is the epitome of the moderate white woman whose allyship is performative and transactional. Let's go. Power and privilege is all Galinda has ever known, right? It's what she was raised with. When she gets the shiz, she's the only one who gets to wear pink. Why? Because she's Galinda. And she gets a private suite when nobody else does. Why? Because she's Galinda. And she really wants to take that sorceress class. Why? Because it will help her get more power. That is all that drives her, is power and privilege. Elphaba shows up, and Elphaba doesn't want power, but has it, and gets access to the thing that Galinda wants. And as a result, also ends up intruding on what Galinda has, because Elphaba gets to room with Galinda. And how does Galinda respond to this? She bullies Elphaba. She treats Elphaba like total crap and tries to make her life as miserable as possible. That's all that happens there, right? And then in the Dancing Through Life sequence, we get two events that end up shifting the nature of their relationship. The first is when Bach comes up, tries to ask out Galinda, and Galinda's like, I don't want anything to do with you. So she tells Bach to go out with Nessa Rose instead. Now, is this because Galinda cares at all about Nessa Rose? No, it's not clear that they have any relationship at all. It's just that she finds Bach annoying, and with his puppy love, she knows that he'll do anything she asks him to, and this is a convenient way to like make it look like a nice thing, but just get him away from her. That's her entire motivation with that. And then she gives Elphaba the really ugly hat that her gran knit her, right? And clearly the intention behind what Galinda and her lackeys are doing is we're going to humiliate Elphaba, because that's what we like doing, because how dare she get any of these things that we've earned through our parents' wealth. But poor Elphaba doesn't know this, right? She sees this really kind gesture for her sister, who she cares for very deeply, and this gift of this hat as maybe they're actually, giving me a nice thing. And she says, okay, I'm going to convince Madame Morrible to let Galinda into the sorcerer's class. And that happens immediately, so that by the time we get to the ballroom, Galinda already knows that Elphaba has done her this kindness. She immediately recognizes that her ability to access what she wants is now through Elphaba. And as soon as Elphaba walks out there and starts to humiliate herself, Galinda knows, oh, I have to salvage this or I'm going to lose what I got, because I only got that through Elphaba's kindness. And if she realizes that I have set her up for humiliation, I'm going to lose all of it. But then as soon as Elphaba's now her friend, Galinda's like, okay, but like if I have to be seen with you, I have to completely make you over so that it doesn't really hurt my reputation so much to be seen with you. And we can kind of rehabilitate you so that you're not pulling me down at all while I'm using you to get what I want for myself. That's literally what the song Popular is about. And Galinda continues to just ride Elphaba's cloaktails all the way to the Emerald City to meet the wizard. Sure, I'll come with you. Like, what a random fast decision. I get to meet the wizard? Why would I second guess that opportunity? But it's very clear, right, that Galinda doesn't care about this whole animal situation, not being allowed to speak, being forced in cages or whatever. She changes her name purely symbolically because she recognizes that it's important to Elphaba, but doesn't make any personal sacrifices. She just says, okay, fine, I'll be Glinda. Aren't I so sweet? And then they realize that the wizard can't read the Grimoire, has no innate power for himself, is just using lies and deception and fear and turning people against others through discrimination to rally power for himself. And Elphaba's like, I was ready to give up on my own dream of being degreenified just to help these animals, and the person that I was coming to for help and guidance is actually the one responsible for doing this. Screw this, I'm out of here. And then Glinda's just like, you can still vote for Trump. I mean, be with the wizard. She doesn't care. She's like, oh, but he has power, so we should stay with him, right? We can still help him out. That's what we should do. And what's happening here is Elphaba got Glinda to the wizard, and now Elphaba's trying to take her away from the wizard. Elphaba's no longer of help to her. So Elphaba's going to go off and do her thing, and Glinda's like, I'm where I need to be. I'm going to stick with the power and privilege that I found because that's all I've ever known, and that's clearly what my motivation is. Elphaba sees a system that is broken and hurting people, and her reaction to that is to want to change the system. Galinda sees a system that doesn't hurt her at all, but creates opportunities for her to have more power, and she is ready to embrace that system. Now, is Glinda showing growth? Sure, she's making some decisions that are quite different than what she would have done before Elphaba entered her life, but they're still symbolic, right? Like changing her name by dropping a single letter and syllable doesn't mean sacrifice in any sort of way. Is Glinda sympathetic? I mean, arguably, she is operating from a narrow perspective, and it's quite possible that she does learn to care about Elphaba through this process. I don't know if we've even seen it yet in part one, if I'm being perfectly honest. Maybe this is a question for your therapist, but I feel like Galinda is so transactional in every interaction with Elphaba that for me, I am not convinced that it is genuine caring and appreciation for her as a person. Even at the end of the story, as we've seen it portrayed so far at the beginning of the film, Glinda is still clinging to that power. As soon as they start asking her tough questions about her relationship with Elphaba, she's like, oh, what was that? I'm in my bubble. I couldn't hear you. She was in a bubble, dog. Literal bubble. Get it? Information bubble. And then she's like, well, we weren't friends, but we knew each other. And then she's literally like the one that holds the torch to the effigy to engage with that same propaganda that is going to help promote in part two against Elphaba, right? She has not really grown. She is still clinging to the system that she is embedded in. Now, in the Broadway musical, Act 2 is much, much shorter, and there are time jumps that it has to deal with and stuff. So a full part 2 movie will be a lot of opportunity to possibly flesh out Glinda's motivations. But right now, she has been completely transactional and is propping up a fascist system that hurts groups of people so that other people can benefit, and she's trying to benefit from it. It's really ugly. It is a perfect allegory for white women who are still willing to vote for Trump, and I am not in any way like seeing Glinda as a role model. So if you want to identify with Glinda, that's fine. There's a lot of cute stuff about Glinda without necessarily getting into all of this. But if you actually identify with her motivations, I feel like you are telling on yourself. And it's really concerning given we're about to enter Trump 2.0 era. And this is the sort of way that you're thinking about a really fascistic governmental system and leader, because that's what the wizard is, and that's what Glinda is hitching her wagon to. So if you're that excited about Glinda, you are not properly paying attention to every single decision that she is making. We'll see if part 2 is any different, but for now, that's my opinion and I'm sticking to it.